ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. We are back. Midday Market Report, Thursday, November 6th, 2025. Tyler Wyatt at Tyler Wyatt Bets at OddsCulture. Go follow him on X and check out all his work pinned to his timeline. And, of course, at the half hour, Matt Grissom at Grissom on X at NCAAInsiders to talk SEC and Westgate wager card. So internet is real tough right now. So we're going to try to muscle this through, as I know Tyler's got a Knoxville radio spot in about less than 15 minutes. So let's see if we can figure something out here. What's up, Tate?
What's up, JD?
Another week. I'll go to Tuesday surprised. I thought Indiana 9-0 would get the nod at the top spot. Not that it matters for the first week. And Ohio State 2. Surprised they left Ohio State 1, Indiana 2?
No. I mean, you could make a case for either team, I think, convincingly. But, yeah, the fact that they're 1 and 2, not really going to play any. They're going to be on opposite sides of the bracket. I guess you could say that 2 gets a slightly tougher draw, but I don't know that it's worth getting too in a fuss over. But yeah, Ohio State and Indiana, we knew were going to be 1 and 2. I think we had a pretty good idea of A&M at 3, and then kind of how it shook out from there was up in the air. Alabama and Georgia, Ole Miss. We got 4 SEC teams in a row before a couple of Big 12 teams, BYU and Tech. Back to the Big 10 at Oregon, and then Notre Dame rounds out the top 10. Notre Dame at 10th. Their schedule will, I think, play itself out, and we'll have a clear answer. I was talking with my dad, who 2 weeks ago, he said that he was trying to bet me that there would be a 3-loss team make the 12. And I told him he was crazy, and I told him that I would take the bet. And he didn't want to actually bet. He just said there would. Said the same thing this past weekend, and he was wanting to actually bet. And I had to think about it. I'm still unsure of 3 losses. There could be complete chaos, I guess, and we find a 3-loss team that makes the 12. I think it's, they're a pretty big underdog at 3. Tennessee at 25th. They're the only 3-loss team in the AP poll or the playoff poll, but we've seen chaos the last couple of weeks, so I'm not going to hold my breath yet. But right now there's a whole bunch of teams that 1 and 2 losses, and a lot of those teams play each other. So we'll have to see how it shakes out. But no real surprise, I don't think, through the top 10, other than I'm not a huge fan of Notre Dame. At 10 in my power rating, they come in. They're 13th in my power rating. They actually moved from 13 to 11, so just outside the top 10 in my power rating. But Notre Dame's schedule, I think, takes care of itself at the end of the season. But it just kind of, I don't know. they're playing good football now. Same carbon copy of last season. Couple of ugly losses, and then they, regained form, finished strong, got in, made some noise, and ultimately didn't matter. Now you have 12 teams, so I don't know if the argument is it matters more or matters less if you have Notre Dame ranked where they are. Are they deserving? They're in a big group of 2-loss teams that they're going to be favored over a lot of those teams, but a lot of the public doesn't like necessarily a gambling take on who's deserving or who isn't. So we still a lot of chaos left here in the next couple of weeks, so we can talk more about it obviously next week. But Notre Dame 10th, maybe the most interesting thing of the top 10, at least in my opinion.
Well, I think last year's chaos came down to the ACC again. A regular season final win by Miami at Syracuse. They're in. They lose. And I'd hate to have it come down. That upset loss last week with Georgia Tech. Their last game of the year is at Georgia, which they'll be underdogs there. I'd hate it to come down to Miami, Notre Dame, and the fact is that Miami beat them early in the year. And you know how this works. It's a lot of times before it went to 12, when it was 4, it was when you lost. If you lost early enough in the regular season and then ran off the rest of your games, you were in. Can you foresee a Miami Notre Dame last spot, and then having them, the fact that Notre Dame, 2 tough losses, one to Miami, one to A&M, who's still undefeated, gets it even though Miami beat them?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that make that case. I guess maybe the ACC being, the Virginia has turned out to be a pretty good team. The fact that Virginia's ranked where they are in the initial playoff rankings looks like, 14 for the ACC, 15 with Louisville, and 17 for Georgia Tech. I think you maybe feel a bit disrespected if you're an ACC purist that, that at least one of those teams deserve to be, at one. The one-loss team certainly deserve to be higher than 14. Virginia, I think, kind of got the shaft there. Georgia Tech, you mentioned, they're at home against Georgia. In our model, I have them about a 4.5-point dog, and I expect them to lose the game. So does Georgia Tech? With 2 losses where they are now, they can't really gain a lot of ground at 17. They play Boston College on the road. They play Pitt at home. They could pick up, I guess, quality win. And then then you have Georgia, obviously. Is that going to be enough to get them to 12? I'm not sure, I'm not sure. The ACC champion obviously gets a spot. So I guess if you're Georgia Tech, you obviously have we get in the ACC championship game, we can definitely get in, but this is there's going to be some teams, and the committee has been they've been kind of all over the place on playoff or a championship game loss, is not going to be weighed the same. That, we're humans. It's hard not to look at a team that loses. And especially if it's your 3rd loss, if you're 10-2, you make your conference championship game and you lose, do you get overlooked by a 2-loss team who didn't have to play their conference championship? That's a sticky subject, and we could talk. We could do an entire show probably just on those situations that I think we're going to see a couple of. Georgia Tech, just handle business. If you win, you don't have to worry about it. Georgia game will be a big one. Georgia obviously can't afford, too many slip-ups. Georgia's schedule not coming down the wire. Georgia's fairly safe. That's the Georgia Tech game is going to obviously be their 9.5-point favorite at Mississippi State. They play Texas in Athens next week. Charlotte, they're going to be a 50-point favorite or whatever, and then Georgia Tech. If you're Georgia, if you slip up to Texas at home and you beat Georgia Tech, then you're in the 2. There's a lot of scenarios that obviously you have to play out. But the Georgia Tech, if you lose a 3rd game in the ACC championship game, do you get left out by a team that has 2 losses that didn't have to play. I would be upset if that were the case, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously.
All right, you got a couple minutes and you got to get out of here. Give us some of your plays on what the model says this week.
Yeah, we've got a pretty full card this week. It'll be pinned to the Twitter profile. No play. App State actually is a play. 7:30 App State at home against Georgia Southern. Circa open 4. Our number on the game was 8.4. Another game, South Florida, 11-point opener. Total at 67.5. Our number on that one is 17.8. Indiana goes to Penn State, where they opened a less than 2 touchdown favorite. I do not understand. Indiana in our model is a 23-point favorite, so double digits off of where Jeff and the Circa guys opened this one. Texas Tech and BYU, ramifications there for the Big 12 in the playoff. Obviously, BYU undefeated. Texas Tech, 1 loss, really can't afford to screw around. Opens a 10-point favorite, total of 53.5. We have that one 4.5. So backers and BYU, also BYU money line. I think very live to win that game. Texas Tech defense been good. They have managed to get behind in some games, and they've figured it out. This will be a tough environment. I think BYU will play them at least within a possession. So easy play there. Colorado goes to West Virginia, who's somehow found some life in the last couple of weeks. That's a 6-point underdog. There's a lot of interesting storylines in Boulder. This is still a more talented Colorado team than this West Virginia team. I'm back in Colorado. I actually have them a 0.6 favorite. Expect them to go and fight there. It's an Army team, opens at 5. Our number was 9.6. Louisiana Tech and Delaware. Louisiana Tech opened a 2.5-point favorite. I have 7.9 on the road. Delaware, Minicucci been pretty tough at home, but it's a Louisiana Tech team. They can certainly cover the 2.5. Middle Tennessee, they opened a 2.5-point dog to FIU. I have them about a 2.5-point favorite. Wrong team favorite, at least in the opener. Jacksonville State opened 2-point favorite at Circa. Our number was 6.9. Vanderbilt, 6.5-point opener against Auburn, looking for direction, trying to figure out who's going to lead that team going forward. Vanderbilt coming off a tough one. I think Vanderbilt takes a lot of aggression out on an Auburn team that's going to be lost. I think our number on that one was 10.1. That was pre-coach firing, not adjusted much there. New Mexico State and Kennesaw State. Kennesaw, a 7-point opener. New Mexico State, a small favorite, actually, in our model. So we're back in New Mexico State to get an outright win. Air Force, similar situation, 2.5-point road favorite at San Jose State, who I have a 3.3-point favorite. So backers in the Trojans, San Jose State. Virginia, 7.5-point opener at home against Wake Forest, who's played better. I have Virginia, 14-point favorite, nearly a touchdown over where that one opened. Notre Dame, 26-point opener against Navy. It's a Navy team that was undefeated, took a tough loss to North Texas. Notre Dame playing better football now. You mentioned the couple of now quality losses on their resume, big win against a rival in Navy. I think Navy plays them tough. I think they slow this down. Notre Dame will want to run the ball. I think possessions here will be limited. So I do think Notre Dame gets a win, but our number was just under 21. So backers in Navy plus the 26. That's obviously an opener number. Nebraska, a pick at UCLA. I think Nebraska in our model is an 8-point favorite. So easy backer in Nebraska on the road there. And then UNLV at Colorado State. UNLV coming off a tough loss. 6-point favorite on the road at Colorado State. I have that one much less than a field goal. It's backing Colorado State at home plus the 6.
All right, we'll do what we always do. We'll catch back up with you on Thursday. We'll give you a couple minutes to breathe before your Knoxville radio station. Best of luck this week, and maybe we'll get in a couple more minutes next week and be able to talk a little college hoops as well. How's that sound?
Sounds great, JD.
Take care, Tyler. Go follow Tyler at Tyler Wyatt Bets. Go follow him at OddsCulture. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Matt Grissom. Stay tuned. ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history and stats. You could also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app. Without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Grissom. What up, Matty?
Good morning, Jeffrey. How are we doing?
We're doing well. We get some internet has been wonky all morning, so I'm just holding on minute by minute here. I hope we can muscle through. How was your eyes? How was your weekend on football?
Yeah, last weekend, good 5-2 in the contest. Really worst bet I think is UCF. I keep hitting them, and then I try to go back to them, and then they're terrible the next week. And then the other one I ended up on was Troy -7. The metrics made them almost a 2-touchdown favorite, and Arkansas State they dominated the entire game. Troy -7 never had a shot. They end up losing that one outright. But the other ones did pretty well. We've got a good thing going. We're going to try to roll that into the Week 11 card.
Well, let's talk Arkansas Razorbacks. A week we all expected good things to happen. They've been playing well under Bobby Petrino, but, the definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. And we've seen that blueprint how many times this year?
Yeah, it's no shock to me. I was on Mississippi State plus the 4.5 in the contest. I live bet them at one point. I think they were plus 280. And then right before the fourth down play where Mississippi State ended up scoring the touchdown to go ahead, they were plus 180. And I was sitting with a group of friends, and I'm like, guys, we've seen this same thing. And a buddy of mine, he was like, no, they're going to stop them. We're going to win. And I just laughed. Like, how can you still be optimistic about this team when we've seen it over and over and over again? I saw a thing that said if Arkansas won one-score games back since 2011, this team would be 95-18. They've lost them. I don't know how you're a fan of this team. I amaze myself that I'm still here rooting on Arkansas. As much pain and suffering as they've put me through.
Well, Matt, let's stay here for a second, because you've had, I don't want to say high hopes, but you like at least the attitude. You like, it looks like Bobby got the locker room back in order, but again, you play a good 2-3 quarters and you just can't finish the job. What is the temperature in the room? Hey, Bobby, thanks for jumping in, but we're going to move on.
Yeah, I think so. It looks more evident that he is going to take over a team that is going to end up going 2-10 on the year. You've got remaining home games against Missouri and a road game against LSU and Texas. So not too hopeful that we're going to win any of those. Bobby's probably going to be seeing the door unless he gets retained by a future head coach as the OC, which I just don't see that happening. I think you just completely clean house, you restart, and then we've heard that Chicken Man John Tyson has gotten involved again. Most notably, John Tyson was the reason that John Calipari ended up at Arkansas. This man, he is a billionaire. He is really good friends with a lot of coaches. He loves athletics. He loves the Razorbacks. And apparently he met with about 15 individuals on Monday to talk about the future plans for the Arkansas football program. It looks like they are putting a lot of money behind the NIL and this coaching search to go get James Franklin. So that has been the latest on the Hill. They're going to make him say no, and they're going to give him all the resources that he needs to compete and win here. And, yeah, there's your insider update from the Hill.
Can you still hear me?
I can still hear you.
I have left the building here. I told you we're having bad internet. And for some reason, if I reset, we're going to lose everything. So I don't want to go down there. Give us what you saw in hoops with your Arkansas Razorbacks.
The offense looks really good. I think they're going to be a really exciting team to watch and bet on. They've got a good test against Michigan State this weekend. And then the upcoming weeks, they play every single team from last year's Elite Eight on the season, and it should be a lot of high-powered, high-flying offensive games. Defense, Calipari's got to get them, set up into a more formidable defense, but I think that'll just come with time and playing together. We've got a lot of talented freshmen. Darius Acuff is one of them, just really exciting point guard to watch. He's the reason Boogie Fland ended up going to the NBA draft, withdrawing his name, ended up at Florida. He just knew that Acuff was going to come in and be the guy. So it's fun to see this team. And, as long as we go through the season without the same optimism we may have had for football, we can still be excited about them come March.
SEC as a whole last weekend, Diego and company, a couple upsets here and there. Ole Miss continues to roll. What's your temperature in the SEC as we keep moving forward?
Yeah, Georgia still has not looked great. They barely beat Florida. I saw a lot of people talking about how that was a bad beat because Gunnar Stockton didn't run into the end zone. That was the absolute smart play. It would have been a bad beat for Florida backers had Stockton scored there. Ole Miss takes care of business against South Carolina. Texas survives the comeback against Vandy, who really had no business covering that game, but hallelujah. Pretty much right on with Oklahoma. Felt like that was a game that Tennessee really needed to get, and for whatever reason, in true Vol fashion, they can't get it. Oklahoma gets a big win there in Knoxville. I just think the SEC we pretty much know where we're at. I mean, Alabama is the best team, followed by Ole Miss, and then maybe it's Texas A&M. I still don't believe in this A&M team. The metrics don't love them. The College Football Playoff Committee, they threw them up there, I feel like, as a place marker. But if Alabama and Texas A&M played right now on a neutral field, I would make Alabama at least a touchdown favorite, if not more. I think this weekend they have a tough task to go to Columbia and beat a Missouri team that can be feisty. I've already taken Missouri in this one, plus the 7.5. I'm looking at them plus 7 for the contest. I just don't fully believe in A&M. As good of a season as they've had with Marcel Reed, I just pump the brakes because I don't know if they are a legit college football playoff team yet. They need another signature win. Auburn, what are they going to do? What's life like after Hugh Freeze? I feel like every other team you look at in the SEC is searching for a new college football coach. So you've got just two extremes. You've got really good teams and you've got really bad teams. And for whatever reason, the really good teams struggle with the really bad teams week in and week out. So I'm not going to be surprised if Auburn plus 6.5 is a play against Vanderbilt. I think Diego is going to be able to throw the ball, but I'm not sure if Vandy can run the ball against Auburn's number one rush defensive efficiency team. And with DJ Durkin there, the defense is always going to play well. And what did Texas do last week that really made Vandy struggle? They played tough defense. So maybe looking at Auburn plus the points here against Vanderbilt. I've rambled for a while. I don't know if you're still there. So
I'm
you
here.
could.
I'm here.
Okay, good deal. The video is really throwing me off because it's just your beautiful face, just frozen in time, like I have lost you. Yeah, that's kind of your SEC report in and of a nutshell. What else you want to talk about?
Well, before we lose your whole train of thought here, everyone's anxious to hear what you're looking at this week in your Superbook card.
I've marked down about 10 plays. I've got to decide on some. I want to have a side on this SMU Boston College game. I think SMU has been Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know what team you're going to get. Now that Rhett Lashley signed this extension and you've got Kevin Jennings, who you can trust. This was a college football playoff quarterback last year. For whatever reason, they showed up and they beat Miami. Look good. Maybe we'll see. Only laying 10.5 to a Boston College team that's really not that good. Our number here is 16 in favor of SMU, so I'm probably going to end up on the Mustangs there. Memphis, I may have just lost you. Memphis
I'm here.
Okay, good deal. Memphis minus 3.5 versus Tulane. Is John Summerall taking another job? Maybe. I don't know if he's got one foot out the door. We saw them absolutely get the brakes beaten off of them by UTSA last week. Memphis only laying 3.5. I think they're the better team. I'll take that one, especially with Memphis at home. South Florida minus 14.5 over UTSA. Again, a team that I just bragged about. We were on UTSA last week. Owen McCowan, 31 of 33 for 4 touchdowns, almost 400 yards. These are video game stats. That was at home. They're 22-0 in conference play at home. They're a completely different team on the road. South Florida has looked impressive all year outside of the little slip up against Memphis. Minus 14.5 seems like a lot to lay, but I'm going to lay it with them. I think Alex Golish is going to be able to respond and get the Bulls in position to finish out the season strong. Missouri, I touched on earlier, +7 in the contest. I love it, +7.5. I'll end up probably staying on that +7, though, despite my better judgment. This is an interesting one to me. Oregon, Iowa. I really thought Oregon minus 6.5 for the contest was a fair number. And then I kind of dug into it a little bit more. Dan Lanning off a bye during his tenure at Oregon. He's 2-4-1 against the spread. So not great. They are 12-5 ATS as a road favorite. But we just saw a very similar game against a weaker opponent in Oregon and Wisconsin. It was a rainy, windy, nasty game. Oregon only put up 21 points. They allowed a late touchdown for Wisconsin to only win that game 21-7. Iowa's better than Wisconsin. And you've got this 6.5. It's in Iowa City. I'll probably end up, as dumb as this may sound, I may end up betting Oregon minus 6.5 in the contest and then taking Iowa +7.5 as an actual bet. I think this is going to be a tight game. It may be a good one, just a live bet. I was not going to give up a ton of explosive plays, which is kind of where Oregon lives and dies. Dante Moore has been really good, but he also struggles at times with keeping the ball. As long as Iowa doesn't turn him over multiple times, Oregon should win this game. But Iowa's been playing a lot better football, especially offensively. Plus, they're at home. It is a day game. It's supposed to be rainy. 14, 15 mile per hour winds there at 2:30 in Iowa City. So it could be a run first type of game for both of these offenses, which is going to really suck the air out of the ball, keep Oregon at bay a little bit more, even though they are really good at rushing offensive efficiency. Iowa's defense is really good at stopping the run. So I think it could be a back and forth type game. And then let's go back to your UConn Huskies. They've been one of my favorite teams to bet on week in and week out. They're a covering machine. Won last weekend with the -12. I'm going to take them +9.5 here against Duke. This is an absolute mismatch as far as strength of schedule. I think Duke is top 25. UConn is dead last at 136. That is the biggest thing that gives me pause. But we actually make UConn a -0.1 point favorite. So as good as Duke has been, UConn +9.5, getting too many points there at home. And then I'm going back to the well with San Diego State. They were a team last week. I took them minus 10.5. They are minus 7 against Hawaii. That's not really a huge trip for them. I think as good as the road has, or as good as the home team has been in Hawaii games, I think San Diego State's offense is way too explosive. They're going to be able to have their way, put up points. So those are a couple that I'm looking at so far. San Diego State minus 7, UConn plus 9.5, Oregon minus 6.5, SMU minus 10.5, Memphis minus 3.5, South Florida minus 14.5, Missouri plus 7, and Auburn looking at them plus 6.5. Would really like to get that 7.5 in the contest, but I'm not going to do it. So that's where I'm sitting at right now.
Well, anyone joining us again, I had said pre-flop here. They're struggling with the internet. High winds on the Cape. We muscled through this as halfway through the show. We had a power surge here, and of course, I am no longer, or I'm seeing a black screen. I assume everyone else is seeing a frozen screen to me. Mike's still working, of course. Thank you for keeping concentrated, staying focused, not falling off here to the right here. Scrollers going the whole time. Everyone knows they can find you, of course, on NCAA Insiders at Grissom on X. But as we always wrap up this spot, where can they find all your work, Matt?
Yeah, visit mattgrissom.com. It's MattGrissom. You can see all of our weekly simulations. You can see all of the full power ratings where we've got every team ranked as far as offensive and defensive efficiency, rush, pass, everything like that. And yeah, like Jeff said, Grissom on X on Twitter, or Insiders FB is our college football insiders page.
Let me see. I am Russell Saylor. I am convinced this is actually AIJD, and Jeff is actually down south of the sun. I wish, Russell. I wish. I do. I truly do wish. So, 4:30 p.m. The return of Ron Marmolevsky. Will be back talking NCAA and NFL tomorrow morning. Hopefully, Scotty Webb will be back in Pocket Plays. I'll be a guest with Andrew McGinnis on McGinnis Picks at Wager Talk at 11 a.m. Nick Hathcote back talking NCAAF as his Notre Dame team just slept walk at BC. I worked the game. I'll be at the game Saturday against SMU. Might be a wet track, by the way, Matt. Supposed to get some rain overnight, so keep that in mind. So, from myself, Jeff Dawson at DC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Matt Grissom at Grissom on X at NCAA Insiders. And, of course, big shout out to Mr. Russell Saylor. We thank everyone. Stay tuned. See you around 4:30.